What is up, guys? In today's video I'm gonna be explaining you how to play Varus swiftshot. It's by far the strongest comp right now, and it's also really easy to play. It's just kind of item dependent. I do have a lot of games in high elo, but I can imagine in low elo it's probably even way easier to pull it off unless everyone's contesting it, so keep an eye for that. So I'm gonna explain to you how to play the early game. So at the first carousel, you really want to start with a bow, because you're gonna need 2 bows for this comp. Maybe even 3. It depends on the items you get. So you want to start with bow, and if you're not lucky enough to get a Varus early, you'll want to start off with these units. So you're gonna start off with a Tamkench, a Skarner, then something like a Nidalee, and then hope just for like a third Astral, because you're gonna lose pre anyway. So we're gonna do like Vlad or something. Now, as soon as you find Varus or Illaoi, you're gonna swap these 2 Astrals out, but it's very important to have Astral in early, so you can get your Astral roll as soon as possible. So this is gonna be your early game a little bit until you find this. Astral. So you're gonna replace Illaoi here and Varus here. And for item holder, you can use Ezreal, because Ezreal you're gonna run only in the late game. So if you don't have a Varus, you can use Ezreal as an item holder for Varus. And it doesn't really matter if you win or lose early, because most likely you're gonna lose pre unless you hit like an early Varus and you already have perfect items. Because if you start with like a bow and like a crit cloak and like mana, you're not gonna slam a Shiv or a last whisper. You are gonna go for a few specific items. So now I'm just gonna show you guys the board to stabilize after Krugs. So most likely you're gonna have a Varus because you have an Astral roll. Then you wanna have a Twitch in the field for swiftshot, and you just wanna have a 4th bruiser, and that's most likely just gonna be Shen. Now, if you find an early Ornn, it's better to run Ezreal over Twitch. But if you don't have Ornn, Twitch is way better because the guild also gives your Varus more attack speed. Now, moving on to items. There are a few, like 2 very key items on Varus that you should build every single game. And if you don't have these 2 items, you're most likely not going to top 1 with it. You can still top 4, but you're not going to top 1. So I really like Ginsu's and I really like Hurricane. The reason for the Ginsu's is because you need him to stack his attack speed like really fast with the swift shot. Otherwise, he's not going to have enough DPS. And you want the Hurricane. So, for example, you're against an Idas. Someone is high rolling Idas. He has Idas 2 on the field with like insanely stacked items. So for example, we're gonna put the Idas here, and he has a Warmox. He has whatever, this one, and he has this. You're not killing this. You are not killing this with Varus, especially if you don't have anti-heal. So the reason for the Hurricane is to kill backline while you're stuck on another unit. That's the sole purpose of Hurricane, so you can kill the backline if you're stuck on a unit. Now, the third item is kind of dependent on what you get, obviously, but it also depends on the lobby. If you're against a lobby with like 2 Kianas with Frozen Heart, a bunch of Ornns, a Shyvana, like a bunch of CC, like a Heimerdinger, Sona, you really need QSS on Varus, in my opinion, because this is not the most damage your Varus can do, but it like keeps your Varus safe, and he is actually attacking. Because like usually when you go for a 3-star unit, you actually want to go Deathblade instead of the QSS. But I just like the QSS. Like in my lobbies, there's a lot of CC, so I prefer the QSS over the Deathblade. But if you're in a lobby with not that much CC, you can go Deathblade or you can go Giant Slayer. It really doesn't matter. Also, like for augments, you really want to try to roll at least 1 healing augment. And it's also very important to have some sort of anti-healing, so you can go a Sunfire board, or you can just put like a Sunfire cape on your Illaoi. Now, how to play this? You are not gonna go to level 8 fast. You are gonna go to level 7, and then you will start slow rolling. Unless you're contested, then you can, and you're like way off, you can level to 8 to like power spike and make sure the other guy dies before you start rolling. But like at level 7, your board kind of looks like this. You have 2 Gildan with the Sejuani, and now you're just gonna chill at level 7, and you're gonna slow roll for the Varus until you hit Varus 3, and then you can go to level 8, and then you can go for Ilawi 3, because Ilawi 3 is really good, and also if you have the units, you can go for Skarner 3, because Ilawi 3 with like a couple of tank items is legit unkillable. Like, this beast doesn't die, and it like really helps your Varus. Also, it's pretty important to have a 3-star, because otherwise your front line is gonna be a little bit weaker in the late game. Now, eventually you are gonna upgrade your board, obviously. So you are gonna put Ornn over Tahm Kench. And you can put Sylas, actually no, you're not going to play Sylas. This is actually endgame board, because you are going to try the 3-star Skarner. If you can 3-star Skarner, you can play Sylas instead of him, but most likely you are going to try to go for the 3-star Skarner, so you're going to keep this. And the Shen is just better than the Sylas, because he can just block like a ton of attacks. Unless you're against people you really want to mana reef, you can run Sylas over Shen. Okay, now the last part of this video, we're gonna go to positioning. Now the positioning is very important. Like, when you go to your endgame board, like, okay, now we're gonna go to level 8. We're gonna remove the Sejuani. We're gonna add 2 swiftshot. We're gonna add Ezreal, and then we can add Xayah if we have the money. It's completely fine to run Ashe, but I like running Xayah because if you get more damage items, so for example, you go to a carousel and you can get a Last Whisper, it's better to have it on Xayah. But now we're gonna look at positioning. You have to keep in mind a couple of things. Am I against Assassins? Am I against Frozen Heart? Am I against an Ornn? Am I against a Sona? So I'm gonna give you a few examples. If you are like against a Qiyana with Frozen Heart, right? Qiyana with Frozen Heart. And you don't have a QSS on your Varus. If she jumps on your Varus doesn't do anything. Like, you pretty much lost the fight, and especially if there's like another assassin jumping. So you have to keep in mind, like, where am I gonna position my Varus? And maybe I can do even something like this to prevent the Qiyana from jumping too close to my Varus to get Frozen Heart on it. That's one thing. Now, if we are against a Sona on the enemy team. Sona, and the Sona has blue buff, and she's also obviously a mage, and your Varus doesn't have QSS, right? It's very important to just have positioning like this. You're going to put your Ezreal here, you're going to put your Xayah here, and then you're just going to put your Varus here, and you can put your Twitch wherever the Sona is not facing. Because your enemy can obviously move the Sona, but the Sona can only hit one thing. Now, another important thing with this comp is you want to try to keep the Twitch... okay, Twitch. You're not supposed to leave yet. There you go. You want to keep the Twitch next to the Varus, because the Twitch actually has an armor shred on his ability. So you want the Twitch to armor shred whoever Varus is attacking. It's very important. This way he doesn't get stuck on units very easily, because he can just negate like a ton of armor. So that's probably the most important thing if you are playing this comp. Also, if you don't have a QSS, or you don't want your entire board to get Bard ulted, like for example, you don't have a QSS on Varus, and you stack all your Swift shots together like this, there's gonna be a Bard ult on your backline. Like, keep in mind, like if you are against a Bard, just do this. Something like this. So your Twitch still attacks whoever Varus is attacking, and the Bard ult is gonna be here and not on your Varus. It's very important, just like small details. Same if you're playing against Siphon, really popular comp right now. You want to have these 3 together and this one solo, because the Siphon actually has like the priority to go to a group. So there's no way the Siphon is gonna jump on your Varus while there's like 3 people here. Obviously, keep in mind like a little bit of positioning, but this is just like a few general things. So yeah, if you guys have any more questions, like if I didn't explain everything perfectly, feel free to leave it in the comments. I will be replying to all of those. Yeah, I hope you guys win with this comp. Feel free to leave the feedback. If you want any gameplay on this, let me know in the comments. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a blessed day.
Wait, what's his name? I'm like, what'd he say, bitch? I don't want your 2 cents. You ain't even paid, bitch. We are not the same. I drop